Welcome back to Switch to Linux. This is the Privacy News, recorded live on the weekly news roundup, Fridays, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you want to catch it live or just catch the short blips. This show is sponsored by my affiliate Private Internet Access. This is the VPN that I actually use. They have servers in several different countries, and you can connect, I believe, up to 5 devices simultaneously. And they, in addition to masking your IP address, they will also block a lot of your ad trackers, advertising scripts, and a lot of that other nasty stuff that I'd kind of prefer you not impact you anyway. So if you do need a VPN, have a look at Private Internet Access. The link is on the screen and in the description down below. You can get 2 years of it for $83.87. I believe that's the one I did, so I bought 2 years of it. You can also get it monthly for $10, or you can get it yearly for $71 for an entire year of access. So definitely have a look at that. Anyway, we're talking about DuckDuckGo's Privacy Act is what we're going to be talking about in our final. But again, this is the privacy news, so we're going to start by talking about Spotify launches voice-enabled ads on mobile devices in a limited U.S. test. So if you are using Spotify, have a look for this. So it basically uses voice recognition, kind of like, Alexa, hey Alexa, order unicorn meat, confirm. All right. And so with that, what they're doing is they're basically testing audio-based ads that you can talk to it and interact with the advertisement with your voice. I'm categorizing this into the creepy stop analyzing our voice section. Because it's getting a little bit too crazy. And in fact, a lot of these robocalls that we're getting, a lot of these are machines that are simply attempting to track and collect our voice and voice samples, saying yes, saying confirm, whatever else. And then they're using these, they can use these to, quote, verify that you, quote, purchase something and steal, more money, more identity, more whatever it happens to be. And so this becomes a little bit of a challenge. Of course, on the other end, there's things like, I forget which, I think it's Fidelity, for their investment stuff. They pretty much force you to agree that they're going to use your voice print to confirm your identity. Guys, this is the worst possible thing you can possibly do. I will never consent to using a voice print. But this is kind of the direction we could be going. Of course, is this necessarily that nefarious? Probably not. Just gives you the ability to, as you're listening to something, and it makes a good logical sense. You're listening to something, you can interact with it without having to go back in your screen. You can actually talk to the ad. I'm not a fan, but anyway, it is definitely an interesting piece of technology. Of course, Google next. Google will, they are now rolling out the ability to auto-delete location tracking data. It contains, I think it's more than just the location tracking data, but web and app activity for various different Google services. And your options are deleting it manually, deleting it after 18 months, and deleting it after 3 months. How's the deleted after 3 seconds? Can we have that as an option? That would be a good option. But you can actually get in there and set it for the lowest, and then get in there once a week and just delete that thing out if you have to. And of course, there's reasons that is okay. What I'm saying is that if you're using Google Maps on a phone to determine which route to take home because of congestion, Google Maps is a decent service to get you to do that. I just choose not to travel in the middle of rush hour, but that's me. And I'm kind of stuck this weekend. It is graduation / move out weekend for Penn State. That means I become a hermit for the weekend. So that's exciting. But anyway, Google, as their process of collecting all this location data, they do now have the option you can automatically delete it after 3 months. You can always delete it manually, and they have the 18-month option as well. And I don't know what it automatically opts you into as this feature rolls out. Probably never keep it until I delete it manually is my guess, because they all want to collect our data anyway, and that seems to be what we want to do. All right, we need you with this. No, ACLU. This was an interesting article, and I've talked about it before with border agents in the United States basically doing warrantless searches of devices. And in reality, according to the law, they're supposed to only be enabled to do that on non-US citizens. But in reality, they tend to do it to everyone. In fact, there was a situation, there is a YouTuber from, I think she's dual citizenship, United States and Australia. And she was traveling in here. I forget her name, Lauren something, I think. And she got detained for quite a while. Actually, the person she was traveling with, she's a journalist, the person she was traveling with was actually deported back to Australia. She got to stay mostly because she does have U.S. citizenship. But still, even she said they were asking for a whole lot more information than the law would stipulate. Of course, journalism, this is one of these things that we're looking at is collecting information about journalism. And what this is looking at is a few different cases of people, like one of these cases that this story talks about is a lawyer who had privileged information between himself and his clients. You know, it's a serious problem if any old person from law enforcement can look at that. That's a serious problem. And the reality is, as long as that lawyer is a United States citizen, the law stipulates they can't, but the reality is they do. So as part of this lawsuit in the ACLU, they were actually able to get a few of the border agents to testify under oath, and the information that we had is quite alarming about the things that they would do to gain access to all the different stuff. So definitely check out this article. Again, all of the links are posted down below. It's over on my main Switch to Linux website, but the link for that will be in the description down below. All right, so yes, we love talking about smart cities, and China's a good, exciting place to be. This is a neat one. Security lapse exposed at a Chinese smart city surveillance system. So, of course, China has all of this data constantly being tracked. And with this, what ends up happening is this database by Alibaba was basically left completely secure. It was an S3 colander, and it wasn't an S3 colander. It was Alibaba's version of that it had all of this stuff up on the web server, and you could just get right on in and access it. And it had everything, including results of face recognition pings, location data, who is where, just all sorts of exciting stuff. And a massive amount of information just completely breached. This is a problem with smart cities. As they collect all of this data being collected is absolutely easily usable against the people. And so this ultimately is a huge challenge. And so, in reality, this is the danger with smart cities. We need to be looking into this before we get all excited about implementing smart cities everywhere. We got to get in there and start implementing these a little bit better in that respect. And for our final article, DoNotTrack Act of 2019. So this is actually, as you guys know, when all these laws come into Congress here in the United States, they are not written by congressmen. We should probably pass a law that says they have to be written by congressmen. But the reality is they're not, for the most part. This is a neat one because this is DuckDuckGo ended up writing a DoNotTrack Act. And of course, basically they're now taking this law that they wrote and they're pinging it off of different legislatures, seeing if they can find a sponsor to it. What this has to do with is if you've gone into your browser settings, you see that there's oftentimes an option in there that is called Do Not Track, which is, in theory, it's there that if a website were to obey that, it would prevent any data tracking from going on. But being as that data is the currency of 2019 America, no company in the history of the universe actually obeys that. You know, I mean, I say none, but a few, not a lot, just a few. And so DuckDuckGo wants to say, hey, that's something that's built into the web browsers. It's something that a lot of people set up, but very few people, or very few companies rather, actually obey that system. And what they basically want to do, they summarize their ruling here. Of course, you can get the full, I think it's a 19-page document, which I did not read all the way through. But number one, no third-party tracking by default. They would like to see legislation passed so that data brokers would no longer be legally able to use hidden trackers to slurp up your personal information from sites you visit. And the companies that deploy the most trackers across the web, led by Google, Facebook, and Twitter, would no longer be able to collect and use your browsing data without your permission. You can kind of see this law is probably never going to get passed. But hey, they have good intentions. Number two, no first-party tracking outside what the user expects. For example, if you use WhatsApp, its parent company Facebook would not be able to use your data from WhatsApp in unrelated situations, like for advertising on Instagram, which is also owned by Facebook. As another example, if you go to a weather site, it could give you the local forecast, but not share or sell your location history. This is big because of that data being collected and used that we saw in with Weather Channel recently. Weather Channel, owned by IBM, IBM was grabbing up a lot of that data and using it for other purposes, and nobody even had an idea that the two companies were ever even related. I didn't. Did you? But that's actually an interesting set of laws. I love the idea of completely abolishing data analytics companies because they can't be trusted. There's too many of them. There's too much data. They can't be trusted. All of this data gets out and you just can't recall it. So ultimately, I think that data analytics as an entire business, an entire industry, needs to just go away. I like this rule. I like this law. Hopefully somebody puts it into place. Knowing my luck, it's going to be some Fruit Loop that I completely disagree with. But, you know, we'll see what happens to it when it comes to that. So what are your thoughts about that or any of the other stories? Let me know in the comments down below. You can help support the channel with the links up above me or in the comments down below. You can follow along on the social accounts if you'd like to get regular updates as to when we update more videos.